Welcome to the Parent and Family Summer Content Series. This content is really for any KSU parent family support system of our owls, but many have heard about this series, during your recent family orientation likely. We're just really excited to be with you today and hosting another great campus partner. Today we have Jerryl Morris with Academic Advising, and I'm actually going to throw it over to him to further introduce himself so that you can get to know him a little more. All right, over to you, Jerryl.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jerryl Morris. As Sharon already told you, I'm the Executive Director for Academic Advising and Academic Affairs. And what that means, that title is, I work with all of our advising centers. And that's in order to try to improve student success, in order to make your students successful. And that's working with advising, that's working with our tutoring centers, that's working with any type of group that touches the students and with the idea of helping the students succeed. That's kind of my simple way of putting what my job is.
Wonderful. Well, I just, once again, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to spend with our families and really just, hopefully, on an orientation day, there's a variety of ways and spaces and places that advising works with our students. And so you as parents and families probably are a little bit aware of that, what that process has been like or will be like for your student when they go through orientation. But really moving beyond that. So I think I want to talk, we want to start off today talking about our new families and new students to KSU, and then we'll transition a little bit to really what the academic advising relationship looks beyond sort of that first year. So let's dive in, talk a little bit more in depth, knowledge about your area, Jerryl, and really just give us, if you don't mind, just a sort of an overview of really how your services serve our students.
Sure. Well, advising is a large part of the advising community. Actually, I ran numbers this morning, and I think as of today, we have 102 advisors across 10 advising centers. And what's unique and different about that is we're not housed in one particular college, but every college has its own advising center. The number of advisors depend on the size of the college, the number of students. And what's great about that is you get specialized, I call it specialized handling, specialized care. You don't want to be an engineering major and come and sit down with Jerryl Morris, and my specialty is psychology. I can help you do the general education things, but you really need the expertise in that particular college. If you're, like I said, if you're in engineering, you want to talk to someone who really knows engineering. So the students are kind of grouped that way. They're grouped by college, and a specific advising center serves their needs. Anything else you want me to say about that? I mean, like I said, there are 10, and we try to connect the students with their colleges from day one, starting right at orientation.
No, that's perfect. I think, and we'll just kind of keep rocking along with sort of how your area, the overview of how you work with new students specifically, and then kind of how that rolls into our older students. But yeah, let's talk about, really you guys have a wonderful infrastructure, I think, in place to really make sure that, no student is left behind, and to make sure that they have the help that they need. So I don't know if there's anything else as far as those advising centers that you might want to hit on as well.
Sure. Well, let's say, I guess one of the first things is every center operates slightly different in the sense of the amount of time they allow per advising session. On average, an individual advising session is about 30 minutes. That's kind of the average. But again, I've been known to go an hour and a half when I did it, largely because if I had no one else on my schedule after and the student and I wanted to talk about his courses, grades, how to do things on campus, we would do all of those things. One thing I like to get across to all the parents is that advising is more than just getting the student 4 or 5 classes. I like to say I can get a student 4 or 5 classes in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. But again, we want to build a relationship with the students. We want them to come back. We want them to get familiar with the different centers, the different advisors, and be open enough to ask questions. You might not even know this, but can you help me with this? I'm pretty sure if they don't, they'll find someone who can help. So it truly is beyond just getting classes. I know that tends to always be the focus. We also believe that around campus, everybody thinks that's all advising does is help students with classes. It's far, far more than that. Students are coming from, in some cases, high schools. They're there to also help you to kind of get acclimated to the rigors of higher education. They're there to help you. I don't understand how to get into my D2L account. They can
Mhm.
actually help you do that too and give you some clues. I don't understand how to talk with my professor. You know what? We've actually had sessions we sit down and talk about, okay, we won't text them. We won't use text language. We'll just talk to them and ask the questions that we need. And every student has a right to do that. And the funny thing, after doing this so long, and I've been doing this probably well over 10 years, that sometimes students don't realize they have a certain rights. That they can talk to a professor. And for the most part, most of the professors I know, they want to help. So we kind of take them not just in that first day, get classes, but it's really to build a relationship. And that's kind of the way I sum it up. Our job is relationship management, relationship building with the student and also the parents involved with the parents, assuming they completed the appropriate FERPA forms, of course.
Exactly.
So I think that we could also help parents do that. But it's really about building a relationship day one and hopefully maintaining that relationship all the way to graduation and feeling comfortable enough of knowing that there's a group that you can talk to.
Mhm.
Even if you're experiencing some troubles, don't hide it. Get to know your advisor. He or she can be the person that connects you with so many of our services. I mentioned tutoring early. Any of the other type of services that KSU offers, our counseling services, which is more than I've got problem. It's I need time management. I'm not getting things done on time. We can actually help and connect you with the right people that can help you do those things to make you successful, throughout your KSU career.
That's perfect. I mean, when I think about your area and everything that you all do, I mean, I started out obviously talking about, just the registration piece because that usually is top of mind for parents when they have their first year student here. But absolutely, it's you want a relationship with this advisor. It's kind of like a financial advisor throughout your life. You want to meet with somebody to help you plan for the future, to have the right resources to adequately support a journey, of finance through your whole life. So that's why a lot of people get financial advisors, right? So I equated a lot to what you all do, because as long as we, our students take that first step, have a meeting, start that to build that relationship, and then build from there, knowing that these folks are trained and have resources, and are savvy with the technology that our students, that it's new to them, and so being able to really help our students along the way with understanding the resources, knowing how to implement them, and just getting that incremental guidance along the way that really, you pour in a little bit, you're going to get some really great outcomes, and you're going to walk across that stage in a very efficient, and meaningful way. So,
And the other thing too, which I just thought of as we were talking here,
yeah.
is that getting to know an advisor, they also can give you the in and outs of the programs.
Hmm.
Everything is on paper. Everybody can read what's on paper. You read how many courses you take. But again, there's admissions things. There's, what happens in your college? Man, if you're at this college, once a year, they do this. They do X. They provide this type of a service just because you're one of their students. You don't get that from reading it in a book. That's from the knowledge of the advisor who works for that particular college. And all of these advisors, they don't work for me. They actually work for their specific college. So
Right.
I would say they have the ins and outs. One thing we've also learned with being in COVID, and I hate to use COVID as an excuse, and it's not really an excuse, it's been an experience for us, but it's caused us to expand our services and how we meet with students.
Hmm.
As we go back into the fall, late summer, there's going to be a lot more in-person meetings. A lot of students have been asking for. They want to sit down with someone across the table, and we're going to accommodate that. We can still use Teams the way we're doing it, in this particular meeting. We can do phone advising. We try not to do a lot of email advising. Emails is words. You really want to talk to a person, but we can do that too. So, and COVID has actually allowed us to expand when it comes to the virtual side. And every center pretty much has a Teams account now. The students can just hit a Teams icon and, hey, is there an advisor to talk to me real quick? Even if they're not don't want to see their own,
Mm.
most of the centers have that. And that's been such, I'll use the term like a godsend, if I can use that term, not to get religious or anything, but students can quickly, I don't need a full advising appointment. I just need to ask a quick question. And it doesn't have to be my advisor, but it could be the one from that college. That has been so great, and students have responded well. And we're going to continue that once we get back in the fall. So we're going to continue to use Teams, use virtual advising, and then also accommodate all of those who want to come and still, and we want you to come back in and come in and sit down. That's where you get a chance to really know someone. So it's, like I said, COVID has allowed us to expand, which ultimately benefits the students. They can pick and choose how they want to be serviced.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely silver linings to all of it. I mean, yeah, we could go more in depth than that. But talking about meetings and, on that topic, when would you advise, really that first meeting? When does the first meeting take place? And then how frequently do you recommend a student meet with their advisor to kind of keep on a good path of success?
I would say the first one is, you use the term pre-orientation. Is don't wait till your orientation comes and the day that your time ticket's going to open so you can start your actual registration. If you can meet with an advisor, the moment you get admitted and you know where you want to go, which college, which program, you can set up an appointment. I always say give it a little bit of time so that all your transcripts are in, so that we actually have something to talk about. But as early as you're set up and ready to go, you can, we actually have a website, we have a link, and it's on advising website. I think you get it in some of the students get in their material where you can actually go in and set up an appointment with your advisor. A good number of the centers will also, once they have your information that you're coming to KSU, they send out introduction letters. Hey, I'm Bob. I'm your advisor in the humanities department. Here's my information. Here's how you set up an appointment. And appointments are easy. You can set it up online, pick what time works best for you. Early, late, we're actually in some colleges, they're actually even doing later appointments for students who can't really come during the day. So I've seen appointments as early as 7:30 in the morning, if that's what they have it open for.
Yeah.
And there are a few students that will come for 7:30, but 8 o'clock is where we get more.
Yeah.
But yeah, and once you set that appointment up, that's your individual appointment with that advisor. It's not you're going to come in and, who's am I going to see today? Nope, you'll see Bob. Bob's your assigned advisor. And I'll say this too, because again, nothing is perfect. You meet with Bob, and maybe just something about you and Bob just doesn't work. It happens. You have a right to talk to the director of that center and say, hey, is there any chance I can kind of be reassigned to someone else? The director might want to know if there are any issues, because of course we want to make sure our advisors are doing the right things. And that's something that you have a right as a student also, that they have a right as a student to say, it's just not working out. You'd rather know that in the beginning, and that way we get you to another advisor that maybe you kind of hit it off, you do well together, then that'll be your advisor to take you through. So it's definitely the pre-orientation, and that could be any time before, and we actually encourage to do it early. So that way when you come to orientation, you learn everything else about KSU. That afternoon, your time ticket opens up that you can actually register. So you're not rushed. You're not, I need to talk to someone right now because I want to register. You've already done that. You have a plan. Hopefully you have a backup plan in case the course is closed. And then you go about your orientation day. After that, we say once a semester would be great. I always say the moment you feel you're unsure, I just want to check in. You can set up an appointment with your advisor. I mean, we know students can do it in multiple times a month. That's okay. That's what they need. That's what they want. We don't want you to come in the first day, go to orientation, and we don't see you again until you're ready to graduate. And then, now we got to work out all these different things that should have taken place earlier. There was an internship opportunity, but missed it. Or I've got a ton of courses to take my last semester. You can work that out early on in your educational experience. But again, by working with an advisor, they can look at that. Also, how to tailor more difficult class and what class is not so difficult. When I say not so difficult, all of us are different. So something that might be somewhat easy to me might not be for someone else. But maybe we look at more of something that's reading intense. We don't want to have a huge reading intense with a lot of papers, and I got a math course that's killing me. Balance that where there's reading, there's not as much writing. Advisors can help you do those various things in order to kind of have a great experience and, work your way through so you don't hopefully get those semesters where everything is crunching down on you. So that's why we say at least once a semester, but it really comes down to as often as you're comfortable. We're never going to turn it down like Bob is in here every week. He's driving me crazy. Bob doesn't drive us crazy. We love for Bob to come in. We get a chance to know Bob. I'm picking on Bob. I don't know why. That's the name that came.
I'm sure there's a Bob out there.
As
Yeah.
often as students want to come, we're more than willing to meet with them, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes, and we even have some centers that do an hour depending on what the needs are.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I love, I heard elements of you really talking to the student advocacy, like making sure your student, parents and families, I think that's a great tip, like encouraging your student to advocate for their academic success. We want them to start to take charge of this. If this is not, their normal, their natural lean, to be in charge of things like that, this is a really great learning laboratory to do that. And knowing that it just, not just even with Jerryl's area, but with most offices that we are having conversation with, it's one step that leads to another step, that leads to another step, that leads to this great student success, and walking across that stage and getting that diploma and getting that job. So I think that that's really important to keep in mind. And I do want to ask one more follow-up question about appointments.
Sure.
And first of all, I love that there's not a limit. If they feel I love that what you said, when they start feeling they might be a little unsure, that's when they need to make an advising appointment. Now, I know at some years there have been requirements, like maybe there's a hole placed, and you won't get that hole cleared until you meet with your advisor. Is that something that still happens?
We still do. We kind of tailor them just about every year. Myself and the registrar, we'll get together and along with some other folks. And we're trying not to make it onerous on students. But what we've done now, rather than saying anyone would have below a certain credit threshold, we invite or we put a hold on every new student that comes to KSU for one semester. And that's usually freshmen and even transfers.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is we reach out to them early, long before they need to register. And we had said that you need to see an advisor. If a student knows exactly what they're going to do, they already have some ideas, that meeting is 10, 15 minutes long. And it's just so we want to start helping you right then and there before you actually sign up for those courses.
Mm-hmm.
And then they remove the hold that day.
Right.
And the student, if their time ticket is open to register, they could turn around and register right then and there with the advisor, or later on that day at home. But yeah, only new students, new student meaning freshman and transfer, and it's only that one semester.
Okay, great. That's really good information. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about the OWL Advising Center, what students, this area in particular serves. So can you walk us through what this awesome office does?
Yeah, OWL Advising actually does. It's the only center that reports to me through another manager, and his AJ, which we love AJ. He's been with us for about a year. Mm-hmm. AJ immediately came in and says, "Wow, we can take this OWL Advising." OWL Advising was initially for students who didn't really know what they want to do. We call them undeclared, or now we call them focused areas. I want to do something on the health, on the medical side, but I'm not sure. But I know I don't want to be a nurse. What else can I do? So they come in when they fill out their application, and they may select a focus area that includes healthcare, some form of healthcare or personal care, things like that, or they may still do undeclared. So those students are automatically assigned to OWL Advising. And that's why they're not named anything after not a math or science. They're OWL Advising, better known as taking care of KSU students, is the way I like to say it. So they handle those students. And they handle probably 3 or 4 other groups of students that need additional learning support, students that want to change their major. I'm in psychology, but I don't think I want to do that. I'm so confused. Mm-hmm. OWL Advising is the place for them to go. And they actually have long appointments. Their appointments start at an hour. You don't have to use the full hour, but you can. And what they do is really look at the thing we call a VIPS model. They look at the students' values, their interests, their skills, and what they're passionate about. And they run them through it isn't an hour-long test. It's just a couple of minutes to give you some ideas of the type of majors that might be of interest. And we do that, and that's really become so successful. Students are feeling satisfied that I'm not sure, and even when they leave, they may not be 100% sure, but it's kind of narrowed down. And we actually also do classes that even if they changed their major, they started out as undeclared, they move into something else, they're not sure. We're hoping that most of the courses that they take until they truly know what they want to do would still count toward their degree. That's
Mhm.
a huge thing that we're trying to do. It doesn't work all the time, but it's been working a good amount of the time so that they don't lose any time. But yeah, that's our focus group area. They love doing that. They've created a lot of different forums, outreaches for those students. And one, we want them to feel that just because you come to college and don't know what you want to do, Jerryl Morris is a perfect example of that. As a first generation student, I signed up for something I thought I wanted. I think I changed my major 4 times, largely because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But at KSU, we actually have this group, Owl Advising, that actually really will take whatever time it takes to help you decide. We won't make you decide anything at all. Point out a lot of different options, run you through some, like as I said, this BIPS model that we have, and really help you hone in. Once they're finished with you,
Mhm.
they like to think that you can then decide your, as we call it, your forever major.
I love that. I
And
love that.
that's really what they call it. I mean, the whole group, the group is about 12 of them, I believe. And they do a lot of different things. Dual enrollment falls underneath that group too. So that's the
Mm.
high school students that are taking graduation courses. We hope that will continue on at KSU. They work with them also. And there's a whole group that does them. Uh, Major change is a big one. Like I said, we're getting that a lot. Because again, I always think of it this way. This is why I really enjoy what I do is students come out of high school and all of a sudden, in a very short amount of time, they are required, and I do use the term required, to make a large number of adult decisions at the drop of a hat.
Right.
Some can do it well. I didn't. Like I said, I changed my major 4 times. And others do it better. But we have this group now that it's there to help so that there's little or no pressure. And the group does not pressure any student to say, you've got to choose a major today.
Right.
They work in collaboration with the other centers. So when the student is ready, hey, I decided after a meeting with them, I do want to be a mathematician. I just realized how they know that their math courses are good, but when you talk about it, that's what that relationship building is. You hear them talk and you start getting a sense of what their interests really are. And then we can send them off to the math advisors or to psychology advisors or to WellStar, which handles all of our health sciences. And that way we form a partnership with them, a collaboration with them, we meaning Owl Advising, and then we help them along their way. And Owl Advising is still there in case 2 semesters down the road, they get to a point where I'm still not sure, or I just need to talk a little bit more. They can help. That's really why they're there.
Yeah. I've always heard that undeclared can also be phrased as open-minded.
That's a good way to put it.
I am open-minded. I am not sure. You're that man. Talk about what a great thought, what a great word about, yeah, these students who, they've just completed the rigor and the check marks of all the 4 years of high school and feeling the kind of, some seriousness obviously to that. And they've gotten into college and now it's like, okay, and now I have to figure out my life, like all of my life at one time. And so that is so great that there is this wonderful resource. I mean, just at our students' fingertips that really just helps them take that initiative, work with the advisors, but own their experience and and know that it's okay if they stay open-minded a little while longer, just to know that they really settled on the right thing. That's good too, instead of going too many places.
And that actually helps them actually graduate. I say not quicker, but it helps them graduate with the field that they want to be in,
Right.
that they really have a passion for. And for me, I talk a lot when we do students talk about passion. What is it you really love doing? And that kind of helps us choose the right direction.
That's great. Yeah. So we've talked about, our new students and kind of a lot of, methods and resources. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about upperclassmen because it's not just a first year journey with advising for sure. So, talk to us a little about the assistance you all provide for program admission requirements, and what does that really mean and how should students work with you all to kind of figure out what requirements there are and just kind of continuing to keep on track.
Sure. Well, actually, upperclassmen, middleclassmen, they're really no different other
Yeah.
than they're more into their major, so they've got some more higher level courses to take.
Right.
And we ask them also, why don't you come in at least once a year, once a semester and more. But one of the big things that we have done with the upperclassmen is KSU has a ton of what we call gated programs,
Mm.
meaning Yes, you're admitted to KSU, but in order to become a nurse or to get into the nursing program, you've got to meet some internal requirements. And for example, nursing is a very competitive process.
Yeah.
So everyone that applies does not get in. It's one of the few truly, truly competitive. The others are, if you meet the requirements for the most part, you will get into the program. Well, we try to help you with those requirements. For example, I'll use nursing again. I didn't use nursing because I was director over Wellstar College Advising Center for Nursing is housed, and I lived it for a good 6 years, give or take. We know that there are X number of requirements, X number of math courses, English courses, biology courses that you have to take. So that's what we call the gate or the entrance requirements. We make sure that you get those when you need them. Because in order to get this, in order to move forward, I need to take this first level course before I can get the second level course.
Right.
So we work with you to try to make sure that you sequence the courses so that you can actually continue to move forward, and meet the admission standards. You run into wrinkles, this course is closed. You know what, maybe can you take it this summer? You still are going to be on track in order to apply for the program. And most of these gated programs, there is what we call, there is some form of application process. Not like admission to the university, but a lot of times it's just filling out a form on their website or letting them know somehow or another that you met the requirements. And sometimes the advising centers actually do that also, making sure that you have met all the requirements. And also looking at your transcripts. Oh, you brought in some credits from another school. You know what? This actually will actually sub in. So that's one requirement that students most of the time won't know that. They'll know I've taken X number of math courses, but yes, this math is equivalent to what we've got.
Oh, wow.
That's one less course you have to take.
Yeah.
That's also part of helping them stay on track. On track is getting into programs and also just graduating. Student feels they're off track. We spend time working with them on, okay, how can we help you get back on track? They had a rough semester or they sat out a semester. We don't want to say that. We don't want the kids to do that. We want them to graduate quickly, and really go on and start living a great life. But in case it happens. So we kind of help them get on track and stay on track. And that's part of some of the admissions requirements. That actually leads also into graduation. There are certain things that students need to do in order to graduate on time. We can use that term. On time is relative to everyone, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. But they're on track to graduate. You can petition to graduate at a certain time. We make sure that they know that, hey, 2 semesters out or 3 semesters out, whatever the time frame is, have you done your graduation petition? Let me show you on Owl Express how you go into the system and you fill out the form right then and there. Oh, a lot of times they're not thinking about that. So we'll help them do that. Internships, again, internships are handled by one of our other partners, career development and planning, but most of the time start the conversations. Oh, you're in exercise science, you want to go to PT school. Okay, that's a great field. Have you ever gone into the PT Association? We literally will sit there on our computers and pull up, the PT Association. What are the educational requirements? Oh, for our program, which is a PT, it's just exercise science, but you need a bachelor's degree in order to move forward because it's a graduate course. Oh, they require physics. Well, we don't require physics, but you have open electives that you can actually take physics as part of your program. And it also prepares you for your graduate program. So one of their requirements. That's part of things that we would do with upperclassmen so that they know these things. And then at that point, when there are other requirements, we can then refer them to our career services partners, and they can help them with internships, which is a great thing for upperclassmen to do before they actually graduate. You can leave, if you're going to grad school or if you're going into the workforce, you not only have your bachelor's degree, you now have some experience because of an internship that you did. So we look out for those things when it comes to the upperclassmen and kind of make them aware. Even if other departments actually, for example, career service helps them find those internships and work their way through it. We start the early conversations knowing that, hey, that's a valuable thing to do along with your bachelor's degree, whether it's going into the workforce or whether it's going to grad school.
Wonderful. I mean, what a testament you guys are to, I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase, but I feel like, talking about like graduating in 4, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, but you guys really are the compass. Like it's not necessarily a clock, but as long as you're a compass, you're helping guide, you're helping direct, you're helping them stay on the right track and not, and if students are taking advantage of just, just like we've said, like these little check-ins, the amount of knowledge that you all have to be able to accurately guide them and make sure that their compass, is due north and excelling and getting to the right place is just so crucial. I mean, it's so interesting as you talk, just all these incremental things that you guys are the experts in that really add up to making sure our students stay on track. I think I'm just hearing more and more. I mean, just what a great resource, and really kind of in the tie-in too, talking about your relationship with the registrar's office, your relationship with career planning and development, and showing that while we each own our little shops, we talk to the other shops and we make sure that the shops are connected and they're making sense. And so I think that that's wonderful information to share.
Absolutely. And I guess over the years, we've kind of grown together all those different little pieces to the
Mhm.
point that we know each other well enough that I'm comfortable enough to say, hey, I'm going to be referring a student over to you. Anybody who's available right now to assist because they're on a short time schedule, or this internship, they got to have an answer tomorrow. And they just mentioned it today
Yeah.
for the first time. And so by us having those relationships with the other department, it ultimately benefits the students. You said a key word earlier. One of the things that I've always believed as a director and as an advisor, part of my job is to help students learn to advocate for themselves.
Mm.
Again, you come out of high school, you don't really have to do that as much. In the higher education world, yeah, you have to be able to kind of ask the question.
Mhm.
And we're different. You wouldn't know it because I talk a lot, and Sharon, you've known me for a while now. I'm shy by nature, supposedly, but I think I've kind of gotten out of that. But I feel like I understand students who might be a little bit shy, or I don't think we use that term as much anymore, or introverted. Advice can actually help you not come out of it, but actually give you instructions on how you're going to go see Professor Bob. I'm back to Bob again. Here's how you approach him when it comes to this particular issue. We
Mhm.
can't go with you. We can't actually speak for you, but we can kind of help prepare you for that meeting. You thought you should have had a higher grade.
Mm.
We can talk to, hey, did you speak to him before, her in the office? No. Okay. Well, you know what? You're going to talk to them now and explain what was going on. Again, we can't guarantee that anything's going to change. But ideally, once students do that a couple of times, whether it's something good, bad, or indifferent, oh, I didn't know I could ask that question. Sure. I didn't know I could go to this office. Sure, you can. They tend to pick it up and they realize that this campus is my world. I
Mhm.
can kind of go pretty much anywhere I want to get the help I need. And I think KSU in general has so many resources that students just don't know about. And advising kind of helps fill in that gap, along with other departments. There are some of our colleagues on the enrollment side. They are actually the same way. They know a lot about the various things that go on. But again, it starts by students coming in, asking a question. We'll send out a ton of information, which may or may not get read, and that's all of us. But when you sit down and talk to someone, and that's when you also pick up, oh, we came to talk about classes, but oh, there's another thing that you need to address, good, bad, or indifferent. Let me see if I can help you. I'll point you in the right direction for that.
Right.
That's what the relationship, from my perspective, is all about.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, I'm starting my 18th year at KSU, and I can't tell you how, while we've grown significantly in enrollment numbers, I do feel, and hopefully parents and families, you're feeling this through this series, just really being able to highlight these wonderful people, these wonderful colleagues that I have on campus that, I've heard this in every one of these fireside chats, is that they care, and while we are still large in number, we still have that small, nice community feel to our campuses. Our staff are so caring. Our faculty are so caring, and just the connectedness that we all have. Where exactly, if I know, Gerald, I don't know how many emails I've sent you over the last year, like, hey, all right, we got this going on. What's your advice? Because while you're not the expert in my land, I'm not the expert in your land, but we know each other, and we know that we can be resources to one another, which is
Absolutely.
huge.
Yep, and that's all to benefit the students. The more we
Absolutely.
talk and know what's going on and get students and parents to the right place, we've done our job.
That's right. There's a lot of coaching, there's a lot of support, there's a lot of resources. And so we all want to continue to point your students to that advocacy. We want them to know and be aware of all the resources that they have. And that's how we are excited and why we're excited to do this series of information, because parents, we know that you're the nudgers too. We can provide resources and we can kind of know the intricacies of our shops and our information, our resources. But, we make a really perfect combination when we have the right resources, the students going where they need to go, and you as parents and families kind of understanding some of this lingo and this language and these departments, so that you can kind of help us also nudge from your end of the game too. So with that, I guess one of my last questions, because we've hit on a lot of things that already that I wanted to get to, but I guess one thing, if you feel like a student, or if a student is feeling like, I have just really gotten off track academically, and they've wavered a bit, which does happen. A lot of students are really strong, and what life happens. There's just things that happen, and if they've wavered a bit, what's your best advice to get them back on track?
My best advice is, again, I'm an advisor, is to see an academic advisor and be honest and open on what's going on, what's happened, and look for options.
Right.
The number one option shouldn't necessarily always be, I'm going to just quit. There are a lot of different programs at the university. There's a thing called a fresh start, depending on how bad things have gotten, that an advisor can kind of talk to you about. There's retaking courses that will override the last course that you didn't do well on. Again, unless you talk to advisor about that, you wouldn't know it.
Right.
That's why I said, for me, it all goes back to really finding that advisor, the people that you're comfortable with, and open up and telling them what's going on from this. They will actually, you're not crazy by any stretch of the imagination. You're not alone. They're not going to judge you. They're just there to see what can I do to support you in one. If you truly want to go on and finish, and I want to graduate, it may be delayed a little bit because of issues. But guess what? We'll still be there. But unless the students or parents, and I'll put the parents in there too, because sometimes I have gotten email from the parents, Mr. Morris, my son won't do this, but I want to talk to you about it. And if being long as purpose done, we can talk a little bit about it. And then I might reach out to that student without even him or her reaching out to me. And that's why getting to know the advisor, the director of that advising center, like I said, if you're really feel you need to go that high, you can. And just kind of being proactive on it. And there's so many different other resources that can take place that we have at KSU that can help a student get back on track. 3 hours every weekend. Like I said, if I got a whole year, didn't really do anything, I'm off track, it's not going to happen overnight. But one step at a time, working with an advisor that you're comfortable with, they can start helping you make those steps and set realistic goals about we're not going to turn everything into an A in one semester. That's not going to happen.
Right.
Of an example right here. But over time, they can help you get back on track. And again, being on track is relative to each person's own circumstances.
That's right.
We apply the pressure that on track is getting out in 4 years or whatever the number of years it is. And we as parents also do that too. I've had two. One finished and one hasn't. And hopefully he will. But it's all relative to what their life is. So, but again, our resources are there to help. So that's my biggest thing, is connect with an advisor and be ready to answer. They'll ask you questions, but be ready to give them information. And that way they can truly help you set a good pathway to completion. And that's completion of a degree or whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. I think that's great. That's a great thing to kind of end on. Going kind of back to one of the first things you said, just such adult decisions. It feels, I'm sure, to these students so heavy, so exciting, right? Like this change of pace, this new environment, meeting so many new people, making so many new connections, and just, like living that life that they have been excited about. Like, I am here, I am on campus, I am in college, I am doing the things, and I'm excited. But I think to continue that excitement and that momentum, you've probably heard, it's kind of a theme that's running through a lot of these conversations that I'm having is there are some things that need to be done in the best way. We need to do them earlier rather than later. And this is absolutely one of those things. And so, but knowing that it's a very manageable step, knowing that making an appointment is not hard. And so parents and families, I encourage you to help us nudge and encourage your students to make at least one advising appointment per semester. Hopefully, maybe even two, but even here in the early stages, but at least one advising appointment per semester. And I would just say, Jerryl, thank you. This has been so helpful. And I think you've got one more thing to say. I can see you edging towards the microphone.
It's fun for me. I love giving out information. As you can tell, I hope you can tell that I love advising because I think we're so crucial to the success of the students and the university itself. I mean, that's really all I wanted to say. I'm always excited about advising, no matter which position I'm in, in the school. But again, I think it's crucial, and I think we can help and change a lot of students and parents' lives. And parents, we need your help. Reach out to the appropriate advisor if necessary. If your student won't do it, do it for them, and we'll take it from there.
That's right. So families, you've heard it loud and clear, we're colleagues, we're friends on campus, we're connected, we're resources, and we're ready to help. So Jerryl, what is the best way for our students and our families, if need be, what is the best way to contact you guys?
The biggest way I would say at each of the advising centers within their college's website, they all have their own advising page. All the advisors are listed, director is listed there. Their phone numbers, their email addresses are in there. So that's one place. And that's every single center has that. In academic affairs, we have an advising website. And there's a general email number there. And I'm always hesitant to give it out because my thing is I want them to connect with their advisor as soon as possible and not use just an email resource account to ask my question there. We get those questions, we will forward them to the appropriate advisor, and that's in the academic affairs advising website. And I think it's advising.kennesaw.edu. So we use that. Myself and another young lady that reports to me, we monitor it pretty much on a daily basis and try to respond. When I say respond, either respond or get it to the appropriate department within 24 hours. But again, like I said, I would hope that would be a fallback as opposed to going right to the center that can really start working on whatever it is, whether it's an appointment, whether it's an issue, whatever it is, they start working on it right away. My website, like I said, it's a little intermediary that I will in turn get it to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I said, even if for some reason you're having trouble setting an appointment, call the office. They have what we call walk-in hours. That's something I did forget. They have walk-in hours where you don't need an appointment. It's not every day. Certain times there are throughout the week or a complete day or half days. And so students can do that too if for some reason the appointment system isn't working. But the key all of this is reaching out to someone in the advising center. And like I said, the advising center will take it from there.
Perfect. Well, okay, families, so we're going to have this video here and then there's going to be links below. So I will work with Jerryl to make sure any pertinent links, any information that we want to share is actually going to be linked below this video. And also if you have any follow-up questions, if you're listening to this and you kind of are having that I just want to be able to raise my hand and ask a question, drop that in the chat below and I will make sure to get with Jerryl and anyone from his team and make sure that we get that question answered for you. We love to answer those. So thank you so much, Jerryl, for your time. This has been wonderful. I feel like I've learned every time I meet with a campus resource, a colleague, I'm learning so much. Like I said, I'm starting my 18th year, but every year can be so different and you're just continually learning. So we're also learners, folks, here in our land of KSU. We're always learning. So we are here working for you day in and day out to hope that you and your student have the best experience at Kennesaw State. So once again, thank you, Jerryl. Thank you, parents and families, for entrusting us with your student. Until next time, hooty hoo.
Hooty hoo.
Hooty hoo.